Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're jumping into something pretty profound, actually. It's the Yoga Vasistha.
That's right, a really intense philosophical text.
And we're focusing specifically on Prince Rama's big critique in chapter 16 through 20. It's this systematic takedown of pretty much every worldly attachment you can think of.
Yeah, he really goes after everything we tend to think is, stable or valuable.
So our mission here is to unpack that framework. And Rama, well, he doesn't pull any punches. He's dismantling the mind, greed, the body, even our ideas about youth and childhood.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't some gentle complaint. It's pretty radical, a blueprint for detachment.
And that radical nature is really the point, isn't it? The whole argument is setting up the philosophical need for Vairagya.
Spiritual dispassion.
Exactly, spiritual dispassion, by just relentlessly showing how temporary and, frankly, worthless everything external is. Rama basically argues life isn't beautiful. It's more like this painful obstacle course, which kind of forces you, the seeker, to stop relying on outside stuff and turn inward to your own reason, basically, to find any real freedom.
That really does set the stakes high from the get-go. And the hook, I think, is personal. Rama himself says taming his own mind. It's harder than drinking the whole ocean.
Or upsetting Simaru Mountain, Celestial Mountain.
Right. So if controlling your own thoughts is tougher than moving mountains, we really need to understand what this internal enemy actually is.
It tells you immediately the path isn't about, physical stuff. It's about a massive internal shift. The enemy is inside. And it's tough.
Okay, let's dive into that then. Part 1, the internal enemy. Starting with the mind itself, Rama calls it the greatest enemy. And its main flaw seems to be just radical instability. It sounds less like a tool and more like, chaos.
That's a great way to put it. And that's the key thing the text gets across with all these different metaphors. They aren't just random images. They all point to the same thing. The mind is just fundamentally untrustworthy.
Like the village dog metaphor.
Yeah, the poor village dog running far and wide in search of food. It puts in all this effort, right? But it stays completely discontented.
So the effort is kind of pointless if the mind itself is always shifting.
Exactly. Even if the dog finds food, the mind is as little content with it as a wicker vessel filled with water. It just leaks.
Wow.
It can't hold on to satisfaction no matter what it gets. That constant leakiness, that's the core problem.
That image is really unsettling, perpetual dissatisfaction. And it also points to a kind of ignorance when it chases pleasure, right?
Totally. Like deer running towards tender blades of grass, but they're completely unmindful of falling into hidden traps.
You're literally running towards your own destruction.
And when you scale that up, that individual fickleness becomes this huge, overwhelming force, like the sea.
Right. He says the mind is tossed in all directions by these huge surges of passions, like the ocean being churned.
Yeah. The milk-white ocean churned by Mandara Mountain. The mind is this active, restless agent. And because it's the source of all our effort, all our pain, all our pleasure, if you can't get a handle on it, you can't really get a handle on anything.
Okay, but that brings us back to how incredibly hard it seems. If this internal force is so powerful, so relentless, how can anyone actually subdue it? Isn't Rama just setting up a problem with no solution?
Well, yes and no. He's setting up the impossibility of conquering it through, let's say, physical means or external force.
Okay.
You could maybe move a mountain with enough power, but you can't tackle the mind that way because it just generates its own desires endlessly.
Right.
This self-inflicted pain means conquering it is the first step to virtue. It forces you to use the only tool that actually works on it. Reason, rational thought.
So that mental restlessness then leads directly to feeling trapped,
Yeah.
spiritually speaking.
Okay.
He says he's caught by the knots of my ego and held fast by the thread of my greed, like a bird in a net.
Exactly.
So the fickle mind creates the potential, but it's greed that actually ties the knot.
Greed is the mechanism. Chapter 17 covers this. It's the source of the longest sorrow because it takes that unstable mind and attaches it to things. Tangible things, yes, but ultimately destructive things. It's the great deceiver. It operates through Maya, illusion.
And what's really interesting is how greed is portrayed. Like a performer, right? An illusionist.
Yes, it's quite brilliant. Greed is like a black sorceress using magic to lure people in, only to pierce him in his heart later on.
Wow.
Or it's an old actress playing various parts in the vast theater of world. It suggests all desire is just this temporary fake show put on to distract us.
The metaphor that really struck me, though, for capturing that delusion is the jewel-encrusted box.
Ah, yes, that's a powerful one. It perfectly shows that sort of counterintuitive nature of attachment.
How so?
Well, the jewel encrusted outside, that's the appeal, right? The status, the wealth, the pleasure that attracts the restless mind. We pour all our energy into getting the box.
Right.
But Rama's whole point is that getting the box, achieving the desire, is guaranteed misery. Because what's inside?
Misery, decrepitude, death.
Exactly. Misery, decrepitude, death, disorder, and disasters. The very act of pursuing it, even if you succeed, is self-defeating. You get the means of your own ruin.
Wow. And if you let greed take hold, it just starts quietly wrecking your character too.
It ruins your good qualities like a mischievous mouse gnawing the strings of a musical instrument. It's insidious, you know? It doesn't make a big noise, just quietly undermines your virtue until your character, instrument, can't make good music anymore.
So if greed is this powerful, this almost unseverable knot, how do you escape? He says force, like fire or swords, won't work.
Because the knot isn't physical, it's philosophical. So the solution has to be conceptual. The text is clear. Only the glittering sword of reason can cut it.
Reason itself.
Yes, that's the payoff for this first part of the critique. The mind is unstable, greed binds it. Therefore, only rigorous, unwavering, rational detachment reason can cut through the illusion, the maya, and start you on the path of Vairagya.
Okay, so if the mind is bound by greed,
Right.
where does that greed actually manifest? Rama says it needs a vessel.
Yeah.
Which brings us neatly to chapter 18 and his, let's say, uncompromising view of the body.
Oh, yes. Uncompromising is putting it mildly. Once he's dealt with the mind, he turns that same sharp critique onto our physical form, dismisses it as worthless and pitiable.
It's like this total architectural takedown. He strips away any sort of romance about the body, calls it a pot of filth, full of the foulness of worldly affairs.
Moldering under the rust of our ignorance. It's harsh.
And the construction metaphors are just so visceral. A mansion built with a framework of backbone and ribs, tied together by ropes of the entrails, plastered with the clay of blood and moisture.
Yeah.
It's vivid.
It's designed to make you feel revulsion, right?
Yeah.
To break that attachment to physical beauty or form. He even talks about the unpleasant sounds, internal winds making fearful noises, entrails growling like barking dogs.
Yeah.
It's less a sacred temple, more like a leaky, noisy shack you're trapped in.
But surely, even Rama must have seen some value. I mean, the body lets us do good deeds, interact with the world. Is it purely a liability in his view?
Well, for the person seeking eternal freedom, the main characteristic of the body isn't its utility, it's its transience, it's fleeting.
Right, like drops of a waterfall or bubbles in the ocean.
Exactly. So the ultimate condemnation isn't just that it's messy or made of unpleasant stuff, but that it's fundamentally ungrateful.
I'm grateful. How so?
Because it does not follow the soul upon death. It just abandons you.
Aye.
So attaching yourself to this temporary, ungrateful vessel, that's the height of ignorance from this perspective. That's why the wise have to value it as nothing, like straw.
And the spiritual danger, then, is that the ego, the delusion, actually lies hidden within the cavity of the body with all her sorcery, like an evil spirit hiding inside.
Precisely. The physical body becomes the hiding spot for the ego that causes all the attachment and suffering. It's the location of that internal enemy we started with. If the body itself is worthless and temporary, then being attached to its looks, its health, its desires, that's the direct path to spiritual limitation.
Okay, so mind dealt with, body dealt with. Then Rama challenges another huge area of human attachment, our nostalgia, especially for early life. He denounces both boyhood, chapter 19, and youth, chapter 20.
Yeah, he sees them not as times of innocence, but as actual spiritual problems, liabilities. Boyhood is defined by suffering, helplessness, and just sheer ignorance.
He says children are chained to fretting, crying, fits of anger, craving, and every kind of incapacity.
Like an elephant chained to a post, it really emphasizes the total lack of control, of agency.
And he says this stage is more intolerable than death itself. That seems incredibly harsh. Why compare childhood suffering to death?
Well, think about it. Death is, at least, final, an end point. The suffering of boyhood, in this view, is ongoing, relentless, and you're completely helpless within it. You can't reason your way out, you can't act effectively, it's just this period of intense, drawn-out confinement. Then he says youth. That's even more dangerous.
More dangerous than that.
Because that's when desire and passion really kick into high gear, but you still lack wisdom. So you have strong impulses, but no real framework to manage them.
So youth gets painted as this ultimate temporary illusion.
Exactly, a false transient thing, deceptive like a fairy dream by night or a magic lantern show. It looks sweet and delicious, like rich wine, but it quickly turns bitter, insipid, and harmful.
And the passions it generates, they're destructive.
Like a furious gust of wind that just sweeps away every trace of good qualities.
So that makes youth the most perilous time, doesn't it? Because the desire is strong and the ability to act on that desire is peaking, but wisdom hasn't caught up.
Precisely. And you see that theme of Maya, of illusion, again with the lotus metaphor.
Ah, right, the blooming lotus.
Yeah, youth looks like this beautiful blooming lotus from the outside, attractive, vibrant, but internally, that same lotus is full of affections, bad desires, and evil intents. The beauty is just camouflage for all the burgeoning spiritual trouble.
So the whole point of this relentless critique of age, body, mind, it's really just to shock the listener into action, isn't it? It says the boisterous expansion of youthful desires is almost impossible to cross. He wants detachment now.
Yes, before time runs out or passion just swamps your ability to reason altogether, it's incredibly urgent.
Okay, let's try and pull this all together then.
Okay.
Rama's built this chain, the mind's restless, which lets greed take hold. And greed uses the body, this temporary, messy thing, as its vehicle for creating sorrow through every single stage of life. It seems so negative. What's the actual upside? What's the intended benefit of adopting such a, pessimistic worldview?
The benefit is the liberation. It comes through Vairagya, that dispassion we mentioned. By showing in painstaking detail how everything worldly decays and causes pain, Rama aims to shatter the illusions that make life seem stable or worth chasing for its own sake.
So the goal isn't to make you depressed.
No, not at all. The goal is immediate, urgent spiritual awakening. It forces you, the seeker, to stop wasting energy on things that won't last and to seek the eternal instead.
So the freedom he's talking about isn't about physically escaping. It's about achieving inner rest, detachment, and self-mastery.
Exactly. It's about stopping that constant wavering of the mind he complained about right back in chapter 16.
And achieving that rest means using reason, that glittering sword.
Yes, applying reason relentlessly, rationally, to finally cut those knots of ego and greed. He says the real peace comes to those whose minds are at rest with the thought that their ego does not exist in their bodies and that in the end the bodies are not theirs. Detachment.
It really feels like he systematically dismantled every possible hiding place for attachment. Mind, wealth, through greed, body, age, proving they're all transient, all ultimately worthless in the grand scheme. He leaves you nowhere to place your hope in temporary things.
Which really brings up a crucial question for you listening right now. If you were convinced, like Rama, that your mind is your greatest enemy and your body is just, a pot of filth heading for decay, what's left? What eternal element is actually worthy of your focus? And maybe more practically, what's one step you could take today using that scythe of reason he talks about to start clearing away some of the weeds in your own mental landscape before those pains and pleasures grow into this huge forest of regret?
A powerful thought to leave us with. Reflect on that intensity, that call for radical detachment. And we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.